Chioma and Adejo's love story began in the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria. Chioma, a vibrant and ambitious young woman from the Igbo tribe, had moved to Lagos to pursue her dreams of becoming a successful entrepreneur. Adejo, a hardworking and determined man from the Igala tribe, was a rising star in the business world. Their paths crossed one fateful day at a business networking event. Chioma, with her infectious smile and magnetic personality, caught Adejo's eye from across the room. Intrigued by her confidence and charm, Adejo approached her, striking up a conversation that would change both of their lives forever. As they got to know each other, Chioma and Adejo discovered a deep connection that transcended cultural boundaries. Despite coming from different ethnic backgrounds, they found common ground in their shared values, aspirations, and love for each other. Months passed. Chioma and Adejo sat together in the warmth of their love, surrounded by an air of anticipation. Adejo poured his heart out, expressing his deep affection for Chioma, who reciprocated with equal fervor. As he knelt before her, presenting a ring, Chioma's heart swelled with joy as she accepted his proposal, sealing their love with a resounding yes. The couple's blissful moment was soon met with the reality of family dynamics when they paid a surprise visit to Chioma's mother, Chinua. Despite their excitement, Chinu's initial reaction was one of reservation, expressing concern about the suddenness of their decision to marry and the need for broader family involvement. Undeterred, Adejo expressed his willingness to meet with Chioma's extended family to seek their blessings, in accordance with tradition. Chioma and Adejo left, leaving Chinua to ponder the implications of their union. In the days that followed, preparations for their marriage began, but underlying tensions surfaced as Chinua questioned Chioma's choice to marry outside their ethnic group. Chioma defended her love for Adejo, emphasizing the importance of mutual understanding and happiness in their relationship. However, Chinua's fears manifested in a haunting nightmare, leaving her unsettled and wary of Adejo's intentions. Despite Chioma's reassurances, Chinua couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding. As time passed, Chioma and Adejo welcomed their first child, but tensions resurfaced when Chioma expressed her desire to pursue her passion for cooking and catering. Adejo, however, hesitated, citing concerns about prioritizing their growing family. Meanwhile, Adejo's friends, Ame and Okeja, expressed skepticism about Chioma's intentions, fueling Adejo's internal conflict between loyalty to his wife and loyalty to his friends. The rift between Adejo and his friends deepened when they insisted on involving spiritual rituals in their business venture, a practice Adejo had abandoned since meeting Chioma. Their disagreement escalated, revealing deeper fissures in their friendship. Ultimately, Adejo stood firm in his commitment to Chioma, defending her against his friends' criticisms and choosing to forge his own path, guided by love rather than tradition. As Chioma and Adejo navigated the complexities of marriage, they faced challenges and sacrifices but remained steadfast in their devotion to each other, proving that love knows no bounds, even in the face of cultural differences and societal expectations. Chioma and Adejo's day began with tender moments, but as the sun set, tensions arose, threatening to unravel the foundation of their relationship. Adejo stormed into their home, visibly agitated by a disagreement with his friend, Ame. Chioma, ever the calming presence, approached him with concern, trying to soothe his troubled spirit. Adejo's frustration boiled over as he expressed his exasperation with Amea's disapproval of their marriage. Chioma, no stranger to familial resistance herself, shared her own struggles with Adejo, revealing her mother's staunch opposition to their union. Despite Chioma's attempts to reassure him, Adejo's mind lingered on the negativity surrounding their marriage. He questioned why Ame harbored such animosity toward Chioma, stirring up doubts and insecurities within himself. In the midst of their conversation, Adejo made a hurtful remark, demanding to know when Chioma would give him a son to carry on his family name. His words pierced Chioma's heart, leaving her feeling unappreciated and misunderstood. Later that night, as Chioma sat alone, tears streaming down her face, she contemplated the strain on their relationship caused by external pressures. She reached a breaking point, questioning whether their love could withstand the constant interference from others. Meanwhile, Adejo grappled with his own emotions, realizing the depth of the wounds he had inflicted on Chioma. He sought solace in memories of their vows, reminding himself of the promises they had made to each other. In a moment of clarity, Adejo made a decision to prioritize their love above all else. He sought out Chioma, apologizing for his hurtful words and reaffirming his commitment to their marriage. Together, they reflected on the strength of their bond, recognizing that their love was worth fighting for. As they embraced, the weight of their troubles lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of unity and purpose. In the days that followed, Chioma opened a restaurant after she had several arguments with her husband, and finally he agreed to allow her open it. Chioma's restaurant, Chioma's Tasty Foods, had become a sensation in Lagos. Its reputation for delicious meals attracted customers from all walks of life. Chioma, with her culinary skills and warm personality, was the heart and soul of the eatery. Meanwhile, Adejo, still reeling from the tragic loss of his investments just few days after the wife opened a restaurant in the fire that consumed his filling stations, found himself at a crossroads. Desperate to rebuild, he sought financial assistance, but his former business partners, including Ame, turned their backs on him. One day, as Chioma was managing her bustling restaurant, a customer approached her with an enticing proposition. He was planning a lavish wedding and wanted Chioma to cater the event for over 1,000 guests. Impressed by her reputation and culinary expertise, he offered to pay upfront for her services. Thrilled by the opportunity, Chioma immediately got to work, calculating costs and preparing a quotation. The prospect of such a high-profile event both excited and intimidated her, but she was determined to rise to the challenge. As Chioma busied herself with the preparations for the upcoming wedding, Adejo continued to struggle with his own demons. The bitterness and resentment he harbored towards his former friends, especially Ame, consumed him, driving a wedge between him and his wife. Despite Chioma's attempts to comfort him, Adejo's pride and stubbornness prevented him from accepting help or support from anyone, including his wife. He remained fixated on reclaiming his lost fortune, refusing to acknowledge the possibility of failure or defeat. Meanwhile, Chioma's restaurant flourished, drawing in more customers and garnering rave reviews. Her dedication to her craft and her unwavering commitment to excellence earned her the respect and admiration of everyone who crossed her path. Back at the hangout, Ame and Okeja watched as news of Chioma's success reached them. Despite their initial reluctance to support Adejo, they couldn't help but feel a twinge of regret for turning their backs on their friend in his time of need. As Chioma's restaurant continued to thrive, Adejo finally came to terms with his losses and the mistakes he had made. He realized that true wealth lay not in material possessions but in the love and support of those closest to him, especially his wife. One fateful day, as Adejo leaned against the worn wooden table, his gaze fixed on the swirling patterns of condensation on his glass of whiskey. The dimly lit hangout offered little solace for his troubled mind. Okeja, his loyal friend, sat across from him, concern etched into his furrowed brow. "What happened to your car?" Okeja's voice cut through the haze of Adejo's thoughts. "I had an accident," Adejo admitted, his voice heavy with resignation. "Had to sell it off to pay my daughter's school fees." Okeja's eyes widened in surprise. "And Chioma? Did she not offer any help?" Adejo shook his head, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. "I sold it without her knowledge. And as for the school fees, I lied to her. Told her I had already paid." Okeja's expression softened with sympathy. "You need to lean on her, Adejo. This is the time for support, not secrets." The night was heavy with unspoken tension as Adejo and Chioma sat on their bed, the weight of their conversation hanging between them like a shroud. "Darling, "Can I discuss something with you?" Chioma's voice was gentle, tinged with apprehension. Adejo braced himself, nodding for her to continue. "I'm worried about your drinking," Chioma confessed, her words laced with concern. "I know times have been tough, but alcohol isn't the answer. We can face this together." But Adejo's pride bristled at her suggestion. "So you want me to be your kitchen hand?" he snapped, the resentment bubbling to the surface. Chioma's eyes widened in hurt, her voice pleading for understanding. "Darling, I didn't mean it like that." But Adejo's anger flared, his threats cutting through the night air like a blade. And in that moment, the chasm between them widened, swallowing their fragile connection whole. As Adejo sat in the darkness of his compound, the weight of his troubles pressing down on him like a suffocating blanket, a glimmer of hope flickered in the depths of his despair. "Have you considered seeking spiritual help?" Okeja's words echoed in his mind, a beacon of possibility in the darkness. And so, fueled by desperation and the promise of salvation, Adejo embarked on a journey into the unknown, seeking answers in the realm of the supernatural. In the dimly lit chamber of the seer, Adejo and Okeja listened intently as Okoli unraveled the threads of fate that bound them all. "The woman you've brought into your home, she is not what she seems." Okoli's voice was heavy with gravitas, his words dripping with portentous meaning. And as the seer spoke of Chioma's dark secrets, Adejo's world crumbled around him, the foundations of his reality shaken to their core. Armed with the knowledge of Chioma's betrayal, Adejo stood at the crossroads of destiny, torn between love and vengeance, between light and darkness. "I will fight back," Adejo vowed, his voice a solemn oath. "I will not be consumed by her darkness. I will reclaim my life, my destiny." And with determination burning bright in his heart, Adejo set forth on a path fraught with peril, knowing that the shadows of destiny loomed large on the horizon. As Adejo stood before Chioma, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders, he knew that this moment would shape the course of their lives forever. "Darling, I am sorry for my attitude," he whispered, the words a balm on the wounds of their fractured relationship. "Please forgive me." But as the darkness closed in around them, Adejo's resolve hardened, his gaze cold and unyielding. For in that moment, he knew that the time for forgiveness had passed, and that only the reckoning awaited. And as the shadows of destiny cast their long, dark fingers over them, Adejo and Chioma stood on the precipice of their fate, the echoes of their choices reverberating through the night like a haunting refrain, not know that this was a plot just to make her not suspect his dark plan. Driven by a newfound sense of purpose, Adejo set in motion a series of events that would lead to the tragic demise of Chioma and Iyeli. Fueled by resentment and a thirst for vengeance, Adejo devised a plan to rid himself of the perceived burdens holding him back. Under the guise of affection, Adejo manipulated the house help, an unsuspecting accomplice, into unwittingly poisoning Chioma and Iyeli, his wife and daughter. As the poison took hold, Adejo watched with cold detachment as his once beloved family succumbed to their fate, leaving behind a trail of devastation in their wake. With Chioma and Iyeli out of the picture, Adejo seized control of their restaurant business, erasing any trace of their existence and rebranding it as his own. Under the new name of Adejochi Kitchens, he sought to profit from the legacy he had destroyed, all while maintaining a facade of normalcy to the outside world. As Adejo's fortune soared, his former friend Ame grew increasingly suspicious of his motives. Unwilling to turn a blind eye to the truth, Ame confronted Adejo, only to be met with denial and defiance. Despite Amea's accusations, Adejo remained steadfast in his conviction that he had merely taken back what was rightfully his. As Adejo basked in the glow of his newfound success, the shadows of the past refused to be ignored. Haunted by the apparitions of Chioma and Iyeli, Adejo found himself tormented by guilt and remorse, unable to escape the consequences of his actions. Meanwhile, Okoli and Okeja, the puppeteers behind the scenes, watched with satisfaction as their plans unfolded. With Adejo family under their control, They plotted their next move, weaving a web of deceit and manipulation that threatened to consume them all. As the truth of Adejo's heinous crimes came to light, the wheels of justice began to turn with relentless determination. In a dramatic twist of fate, evidence surfaced implicating Adejo in the poisoning of his wife, Chioma, and her innocent daughter, Iyali. With overwhelming proof of his guilt, Adejo's carefully constructed facade crumbled, leaving him exposed and vulnerable to the full force of the law. In a courtroom filled with tension and anticipation, the final verdict was delivered. Adejo, once a pillar of society, now stood before the judge as a convicted murderer, condemned by his own actions to a lifetime behind bars. With a heavy heart and a solemn voice, the judge pronounced the sentence that would seal Adejo's fate, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As Adejo languished in his prison cell, haunted by the memories of his crimes, he was forced to confront the true extent of his betrayal. Alone with his thoughts, he grappled with the weight of his actions, tormented by the faces of Chioma and Iyali, whose lives he had callously extinguished in pursuit of his own selfish desires. In the solitude of his confinement, Adejo found himself consumed by remorse and regret, grappling with the harsh reality of his newfound existence. Gone were the days of luxury and power, replaced instead by the cold, unforgiving walls of his prison cell. Locked away from the world he once knew, Adejo was left to ponder the consequences of his choices, forever haunted by the specter of his past.